Bicycle Day Trip. Yo, what's going on? It's someone that's no one, and welcome back to today's report. Today's report was sent in by Ethan B. when this happened, April 19th, 2019, aka Bicycle Day. The drug used was LSD at a dose of 1,000 to 1,500 micrograms. The route of administration was sublingually. Gender, male. Weight, 180 pounds. Age, 17. Height, 6 feet. Prior experience, 20 plus acid trips, 4 shroom trips, 3 DMT trips, and past use with MDMA and weed. And the setting was in Burnet, Texas, Inks Lake Park. Now, this is a very strong acid trip, and I don't know about the dose exactly because it is only off one tab. They are sunshine tabs, but you don't normally hear one single tab being dosed 1,000 micrograms, 1,500 micrograms, but based off some of the effects, it very well may be possible. So let me know what you guys think. But I know you guys are going to like this one, and without further ado, let's dive right into it. This trip happened to me and 3 of my closest friends around 6 months after I am writing this. I'll establish names for them to make this story more simple. Me, Brian, Tony, and Ellis. All of us were going on a camping trip with Brian's family. We decided to pick up some tabs for the 3-day weekend to take on Bicycle Day, the day Hoffman first took acid, and then enjoy 420 the next day by smoking quite a bit too. All of us were some experienced trippers, and I have now tripped around 20 times, so we were confident in our abilities. When the day comes to take the tabs, we were walking around the park when Brian pulls the tabs out. They were Pokemon tabs, and we were all jokingly excited to see what Pokemon we got. Ellis, Tony, and I did 1.5 tabs, and Brian took half a tab. We had been told that these tabs were some prime, strong shit, being told it was Sunshine LSD. We were on our way to the top of this beautiful mountain while we were waiting for the effects to hit us. As we were starting to get to the top of the mountain, the tabs started to hit, and we were all even more intoxicated by Tony's music, specifically Beatles songs and other psychedelic music. The one that got us the most fucked was Boo Jay Way by the Beatles. We were all in such amazement that the tabs had taken on so fast that we began to grow super anxious. Brian and I kept smiling at each other with no real ability to communicate words. We finally said at the same time, "Damn, we are fucked, bro." Since we were beginning to lose the ability to see, we walked back down to get to our tent. It got so intense that none of us could really see. All I could hear was a blend of voices and loud bird screeches. We made it back to the tent somehow, but being in there felt like being trapped. Brian went to tell his parents that we felt unsafe, and it started to go downhill. As I looked around with no ability to talk, Tony started to act like a madman, darting around the tent, and Ellis was frozen in place saying, "Oh God, we took too much," over and over again. I ended up leaving the tent, but once I walked outside, I had no idea where to go. I ended up walking over to Brian and his dad. I remember the ocean at the campsite looked so amazing. It was like diamonds were literally darting down from the sky. We sat down for about 30 minutes and looked at the ocean. Then I remembered to tell Brian that Ellis and Tony were not okay. We left to check on them and calm them down. And it was at this point that I lost consciousness. For the delirious and unconscious part of my trip, I repeatedly kept dying and getting taken by an ambulance. In my head, this repeated in a cycle 20 plus times. It felt like the pictures of a delirium, and I truly believed I was dead. Then, I hit this point where I felt like nothing, less alive than the consciousness of sleep. I awoke for the first time in Brian's dad's car, thinking I was in heaven. I opened the door, thinking I was in my resting place, and Brian had to grab me back. I went back to the state of unconsciousness and awoke later for the last time I'm aware of, stripped to my underwear with everyone around me. Apparently, I had been screaming and vomiting for 4 to 6 hours, and Brian's parents had taken care of us. Thank God for them. Tony had gotten extremely anxious, and his parents caught him. Yet luckily, Ellis and I got off free. For the rest of the day, Ellis and I rarely talked, and Brian and I felt a lot more like ourselves. Apparently, everyone besides Brian had vomited, but he still says it was the hardest he ever tripped. We texted the dealer, later asking the dosage, and we were able to conclude that Ellis and I did around 1,500 micrograms. In conclusion, I wouldn't use this as a scare story to tell someone to never do acid. After about a 4-month break period, I tripped again, and I have tripped multiple times since then. What I would use it as is a safety measure to both test your tabs as well as start small and work up your dose. I think psychedelics are truly powerful substances that could be good or bad depending on how we use them and what we are looking to gain from the experience.